Hi. So I bought Diablo 2 Resurrected on sale on Battlenet. Currently it's about $13 plus taxes, and that sale is going to last until February 27th. So if you're watching this video before then, you still got a little time to pick it up, and I would advise you to. I'm enjoying Diablo 2 way more than I enjoyed Diablo 3. I don't know exactly what it is about it, but Diablo 2 just feels a lot more fun to me. So playing Diablo 3, you're faced with a lot of gameplay mechanics that are not necessarily bad or anything, it's just a lot to grasp. And it feels like you're jumping into an MMO. It feels like you're jumping into an MMO that you're unfamiliar with. And the thing about that is, that can be really daunting. Especially when you're trying to get into a game you just bought and now you've got to learn your way to the top. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a game doing that. I know some people like the grind, some people like trying to figure a game out. Not me. I like my games simple. I like my games easy to understand. I like my games easy to jump into and easy to jump out of. Because I like playing a lot of different games and I don't like to have to dedicate weeks of time to playing a game. Nothing wrong if you do. It's just not for me. Diablo 2 doesn't feel like that. Diablo 2 feels more like an action-oriented tabletop where you've got all the RPG elements, you've got all the scaling, you've got all the CRPG mechanics of you're swinging your sword and you either miss or you hit, and you have percentages of damage that you do, so it's still a numbers game, but it pretty much gives you everything you need to know right off the bat and just kind of builds on that as you go. Now, maybe part of that for Diablo 3 is that they anticipated most people were longtime fans of the franchise and would understand the systems for the most part and decided not to kind of give you that step-by-step into it. However, Diablo 2 is definitely a better intro if that's the case. And the fact that they have Diablo 2 Resurrected available now makes it a lot easier and a lot more accessible for people to get into. Now, speaking of accessibility, I've been playing with keyboard and mouse pretty much the entire time I played it. And I was having a pretty good time. Once I got my key bindings kind of worked out in a way that felt like they made sense, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. It wasn't until yesterday that I realized you could hook one of these bad boys up to it. Once you hook that bad boy up to it, it controls pretty well. There's a few little weird button bindings that you can go in and fix that I'm not really sure if I'm crazy about, and I also don't like the lack of precision with managing your inventory. If there was anything I'd say Diablo 2 really needs to improve on, it's the inventory management. The main issue I run into is you have to be able to have something in your inventory to see the stats. To do that, you have to have space in your inventory to put it in there. Sometimes you even have to have a scroll of identify to reveal that item's properties so that you can know what the true full stats are. That's not a huge deal. The big thing is I just wish you could compare things out of your inventory without having to swap them out and just take a mental note of what the stats were. That's the only thing. And with controller, it's a lot more cumbersome to do that. On the keyboard and mouse, it's a matter of click, drag, click, if you don't have any room, or, if you do have room, just click, drag off the ground and pull it right into your inventory, and that's really nice, and I really like that. So in terms of which way I'd recommend playing it, I'd say just pick your poison, because I think they both have their pros and they both have their cons. The controller definitely feels a lot more meant for the combat. It definitely feels like a game that works best on controller. The keyboard and mouse isn't terrible. It still works. You can't just access your spells as quickly, I would say. It just takes a little more mental reminding of it takes a little more mental stimulation. It takes a little more mental imaging. It takes a little more mental power. It takes a little more brain power to make attacks on the keyboard versus making them on the controller, because with the keyboard you can bind all your spells to the different keys you want to do and you're just basically swapping them out. You can also use your mouse wheel to scroll through them. On the controller, you just bind them to whichever button you want, and that works a lot better, I think. But inventory management be damned. So I haven't beaten the game yet, still on my first playthrough, and I'm still enjoying it. At the moment, I'd give it a hearty 7 out of 10. Pretty good score, I would say. 7 out of 10. I'm having fun. It's addictive. My main thing with video games, people will talk about graphics, people will talk about story. Number one feature I want in a video game, the game to be fun. Am I right? Number one feature I want in a video game, the game to be fun. Am I right? Am I correct in saying this? Am I crazy? Go buy Diablo 2.